The Congo rainforest is the second largest tropical rainforest on Earth, covering over 1.5 million square miles across 6 countries. Deep in the Congo jungle, the night brings images and sounds unlike any known creature, evoking fear with forms that seem both part of the earth and yet detached from it. Beings that make you question reality and other strange discoveries. Today, we're peeling away these secrets. September 2013. An experienced explorer pushes through thick Venezuelan jungle vegetation, machete in hand, when he stumbles into a clearing. Lying in the center, bathed in dappled sunlight, is a carcass unlike anything in the zoological record. The body structure resembles a wolf, yet the proportions are completely wrong. The limbs are too long, the torso too narrow. But here's where it gets truly disturbing. The claws are unmistakably human-like, featuring small finger-like digits with what appear to be nail beds. When you zoom into the footage, you notice something even more unsettling. The entire body is covered with perfectly circular holes, almost surgical in their precision. These marks appear around the mouth, across the torso, down the legs. What kind of predator leaves wounds like this? What kind of scavenger ignores a fresh carcass in the middle of a clearing? The explorer who discovered this creature had spent 15 years in South American jungles. He immediately thought of the chupacabra, the legendary creature reported across Latin America since the 1990s. Witnesses described the chupacabra as a heavy creature roughly the size of a small bear. The name literally means goat sucker in Spanish, referring to its alleged habit of attacking livestock and draining their blood through small circular wounds. For decades, scientists dismissed chupacabra sightings as misidentified coyotes with mange, a skin disease that causes hair loss and creates a monstrous appearance. The explorer returned to the site 1 week later. The carcass had vanished completely. No drag marks, no blood trail, no scattered bones. Just an empty clearing and the lingering question of what that creature truly was. What do you think about this creature? If you believe this kind exists, comment the number 4 below and get ready to watch the following footage of its strange appearance. We've all heard the stories, late-night campfire tales about skinwalkers, shape-shifting entities from Navajo legend that can transform into animals or take on human appearance. Hollywood has made millions turning these legends into entertainment, convincing us they're nothing more than folklore designed to scare children. But this footage will challenge everything you think you know about what's possible in our world. The video begins with shaky camera work, immediately telling us the person filming is either running or terrified. Through the dense foliage, you can make out a clearing ahead. The cameraman slows down, trying to steady his breathing. Then you see it, a figure standing at the edge of the clearing, impossibly tall, easily exceeding 8 feet in height. The body proportions are completely wrong for a human. The limbs are too long, the torso too narrow, the head too small for the body. Here's where the footage becomes truly inexplicable. The cameraman's companions apparently decided to test the creature. One of them produces a lighter and creates a small flame. The moment that flame appears, watch what happens. The creature doesn't run, it doesn't attack, it simply vanishes. Have you heard about the forest demon? Don't forget to hit the notification bell, share with your friends, and click the subscribe button so you never miss the next unbelievable case. Right from the first second of this footage, you can feel the fear. The camera shakes violently as the person filming struggles to maintain focus. Heavy breathing fills the audio track, punctuated by whispered curses in a language that sounds Eastern European. This video was allegedly recorded by a group of urban explorers who illegally entered a restricted military testing ground deep in a European forest. They followed the sound against every survival instinct screaming at them to run. A deer, a young buck based on the small antlers, lying on its side. Something is pulling it downward into the earth itself. The deer's legs kick frantically, its eyes rolling in terror. You cannot see what's attacking the deer. The ground around the animal appears to be moving, writhing like the surface of water disturbed by something beneath. Dark tendrils, or maybe their roots, or perhaps something else entirely, wrap around the deer's body, constricting and pulling. One of the explorers whispers that it looks like snakes, and honestly that's the most rational explanation. Perhaps the deer stumbled into a nest of vipers or some other serpent species. But look at the movement pattern. Snakes strike and coil. These tendrils seem to emerge directly from the soil, as if the earth itself is consuming the deer. Local legends speak of forest demons in this region, entities that exist between the physical and spiritual realms. According to folklore, these demons were created during World War II, when the area was used for chemical weapons testing. The story claims that the chemicals seeped into the earth, corrupting the natural spirits of the forest and transforming them into predatory entities that hunger for living flesh. Let's establish something important. If you're ever alone at night, if you're ever in an unfamiliar place where civilization feels distant and the darkness presses close, do not wander into a forest. I'm not talking about the obvious dangers like wild animals or getting lost. I'm talking about the things that exist in the spaces between our understanding of reality. The video begins with a handheld camera moving through dense jungle vegetation at night. The only illumination comes from a flashlight mounted on the camera, creating a narrow tunnel of visibility in the overwhelming darkness. You can hear insects, the rustle of leaves, distant animal calls, normal jungle sounds. Then the cameraman stops abruptly. The light fixes on something ahead, perhaps 50 feet away. A pale shape moving between the trees, appearing and disappearing as it passes behind vegetation. The cameraman whispers something, his voice tight with fear. He's clearly debating whether to move closer or run. As he gets closer, the shape resolves into a distinctly feminine form. Long hair hanging down past the shoulders, a pale dress or gown that seems to glow slightly in the darkness, bare feet that make no sound on the jungle floor. The figure moves with an odd gliding motion, as if floating slightly above the ground. The cameraman's nerve breaks. He turns and runs, the camera bouncing wildly, as he crashes through the jungle. You can hear his panicked breathing, the snap of branches, his feet pounding on the ground. Do you want to see the creepiest photos ever taken by accident in the forest? I've left a link at the top corner of the screen. I've also placed a direct link to it in the pinned comment below this video. And don't forget to come back to explore the most isolated group of people in the world. Among the most isolated groups in the world, the Sentinelese people of North Sentinel Island in the Andaman Islands represent a living window into humanity's distant past. These people have rejected all contact with the outside world, violently defending their island against any attempt at communication. Located in the Indian Ocean, this tribe has maintained complete isolation despite numerous contact attempts by the Indian government beginning in 19... Understanding their story provides crucial context for appreciating just how rare and precious true isolation has become in our modern world. Teams would approach the island by boat, staying in shallow water where they could retreat quickly if needed. They brought gifts, primarily coconuts, which the Sentinelese value highly but cannot grow on their island due to soil conditions. The word dag-dag in the local language means come here, and contact teams would call this out while displaying the coconuts. They would gesture aggressively, making it absolutely clear that the visitors were not welcome. Sometimes they would fire warning shots, arrows landing in the water near the boats. In 2006, an incident highlighted just how seriously the Sentinelese take their isolation. 2 Indian fishermen illegally entered the waters around North Sentinel Island, possibly to poach fish, or simply because they drifted off course. They did not survive the encounter. When a helicopter flew over the island days later to assess the situation, Sentinelese warriors fired arrows at the aircraft, forcing it to retreat. The fishermen's bodies were never recovered. Why do the Sentinelese reject contact so absolutely? Anthropologists offer several theories. Historical records show that in the late 1800s, a British colonial officer kidnapped several Sentinelese people, taking them to Port Blair. Then they returned bringing the disease with them. They remain one of the last truly free peoples on Earth, living according to traditions that stretch back thousands of years. If you find this content valuable, give the video a like and drop a hype on your phone. It's the simplest way to support the channel and help us make more videos like this. Night marchers are said to be spirits of ancient Hawaiian warriors brought back to Rome, moving through forests at night, ready to bring harm to anyone who meets their gaze. For generations, people treated the night marcher as only a legend. Yet when a traveler walked through a dense forest there, she found something that looked strikingly like a night marcher. The unsettling part is that she did not even sense the risk she faced until she was home and posted her pictures. In the background, a single night marcher appears to be staring straight at her. The figure seems to have appeared from nowhere. How do you miss that? I need you to be much more alert if you plan to hike in the woods or the jungle, or places like that, bro. Your awareness has to be a lot sharper than it is. As if it had been lurking, the hiker went back, but the night marcher was already gone. From the looks of the footage, you might think a group of villagers is carrying some kind of prehistoric monster through the jungle. The size alone suggests something from another era, something that shouldn't exist in our modern world. And you wouldn't be entirely wrong to think this is something extraordinary, because what these men are carrying represents one of the largest freshwater fish species on Earth. This is an Arapaima, sometimes called the Pirarucu, a massive fish native to the Amazon River basin in South America. These ancient fish have existed virtually unchanged for millions of years, earning them the nickname living fossils. An adult Arapaima can reach lengths of over 10 feet and weigh more than 400 pounds. Their scales are so tough and thick that they provide natural armor against piranha attacks. Indigenous peoples have used Arapaima scales as tools, files, and even as makeshift sandpaper for centuries. The fish must surface every 10 to 20 minutes to breathe air, making a distinctive coughing sound that experienced fishermen can hear from considerable distances. This breathing requirement makes them vulnerable to hunters, but also allows them to survive in oxygen-poor waters where other fish would suffocate. If you encountered this scene while lost in the jungle at night, your rational mind would shut down completely. Towering figures, easily 12 to 15 feet tall, moving through the darkness with an eerie grace that seems impossible for their size. Their faces, illuminated by firelight, appear almost human but stretched and distorted. These are giant puppets, created and operated by various African tribes as a form of entertainment, spiritual expression, and cultural preservation. The craftsmanship involved in creating these puppets is extraordinary. Artisans spend months constructing each puppet, carefully selecting materials that are both lightweight and durable. The frames are typically made from bamboo or other flexible woods, allowing for articulation and movement. The outer covering might be cloth, bark, or woven plant fibers, often decorated with intricate patterns that hold cultural significance. The faces are carved with great care, designed to be expressive and recognizable as specific characters from tribal stories and legends. Some puppets represent ancestors, others embody spirits or animals, and some portray historical figures whose deeds are remembered through these performances. The puppeteers use stilts, sometimes reaching heights of 6 or 7 feet, to elevate themselves inside or behind the puppet structure. The performances serve multiple purposes within the community. The Okapi looks like nature couldn't decide what animal to create, so it combines several different species into one impossible creature. At first glance, you might think you're looking at a small horse, or perhaps a strange deer. Then you notice the zebra stripes on the legs and hindquarters, and your brain struggles to reconcile this combination. Add in the long, flexible tongue that can reach the animal's own eyes and ears, and you have a creature that seems more like a fantasy illustration than a real animal. Yet the Okapi is very real, very rare, and very much in danger of disappearing forever. The Okapi lives exclusively in the dense Ituri rainforest in the Democratic Republic of Congo, one of the most remote and inaccessible regions in Africa. For centuries, local peoples knew about the Okapi, incorporating it into their stories and traditions, but the outside world remained completely unaware of its existence until 1901, when British explorer Sir Harry Johnston obtained evidence of the creature after hearing local reports. Initially, scientists thought the Okapi might be a species of forest zebra. Only after examining complete specimens did they realize they had discovered an entirely new animal, one that was actually the closest living relative of the giraffe. Okapis are incredibly shy and solitary animals, making them extremely difficult to observe in the wild. They communicate using infrasonic calls, sounds below the range of human hearing, allowing them to stay in contact with each other across the dense forest without alerting predators. The Okapi's habitat is shrinking at an alarming rate. This particular serpent was discovered by a construction crew clearing a path through dense jungle in Dominica. The workers were using heavy machinery, cutting through vegetation that hadn't been disturbed in decades, when they noticed something moving in the debris. This wasn't just a big snake. This was a monster, a creature that seemed to belong to a different era when reptiles ruled the earth. The snake was eventually identified as a reticulated python, a species native to Southeast Asia but occasionally found in other tropical regions, likely introduced through the exotic pet trade. Reticulated pythons are the world's longest snakes, regularly exceeding 20 feet in length. The largest confirmed specimen measured over 25 feet and weighed more than 300 pounds. They are powerful constrictors, killing prey by wrapping around it and tightening their coils until the victim suffocates. Despite their size, reticulated pythons are surprisingly fast and agile, capable of climbing trees and swimming with ease. They typically feed on mammals and birds, with larger specimens capable of taking prey as large as pigs or deer. There are documented cases of reticulated pythons attacking humans, though such incidents are rare and usually involve snakes that are either provoked or mistake a person for normal prey. The snake discovered in Dominica measured over 20 feet in length, making it one of the largest specimens ever found outside of Asia. Its girth was particularly impressive, suggesting the snake had been feeding well in its jungle environment. The question that immediately arose was how this snake came to be in Dominica. Reticulated pythons are not native to the Caribbean. The most likely explanation is that someone imported the snake as a pet, then released it when it grew too large to manage. In the Florida Everglades, Burmese pythons, another large constrictor species, have virtually eliminated several mammal species from large areas. The pythons eat everything from rabbits to deer, reproducing rapidly and spreading throughout the ecosystem. Efforts to control the python population have cost millions of dollars and employed hundreds of hunters, yet the snakes continue to thrive. Dominica faces a similar potential crisis if this reticulated python was not alone. If there are breeding populations of these snakes in the Caribbean, the ecological consequences could be severe. Native species, having never evolved alongside such predators, would be particularly vulnerable. In the murky waters of the Congo River and its countless tributaries, local legends speak of the Mahamba. According to reports collected over decades, the Mahamba can grow up to 50 feet in length, dwarfing even the largest crocodiles. It lurks in deep pools and slow-moving sections of the river, waiting to ambush animals that come to drink or boats that pass overhead. Witnesses describe a creature with a long serpentine body, powerful jaws filled with teeth, and an aggressive temperament that makes it far more dangerous than any known animal in the region. The descriptions of the Mahamba bear some resemblance to known animals, particularly large crocodiles, or possibly prehistoric survivors. The Congo Basin is one of the least explored regions on Earth, with vast areas that have never been systematically surveyed by scientists. The river system is incredibly complex, with thousands of miles of waterways ranging from massive main channels to tiny tributaries. The water is often murky, stained dark by tannins from decaying vegetation, making underwater visibility nearly zero. These conditions create perfect hiding places for large aquatic animals. If a population of unusually large crocodiles or some other species existed in remote areas, they could easily avoid detection for extended periods. Some cryptozoologists have suggested the Mahamba might be a surviving population of Sarcosuchus, a prehistoric crocodilian that lived during the Cretaceous period. Sarcosuchus could reach lengths of 40 feet and weighed up to 8 tons, making it one of the largest crocodilians ever to exist. Deep within the Congo rainforest, in areas so remote that few humans ever venture there, strange sounds echo through the trees. The sounds have been reported for decades, with documented occurrences dating back to at least the 1960s and continuing into recent years. Eyewitness accounts describe the sounds in remarkably consistent ways, despite coming from different locations and time periods. The noises typically occur at night, though some daytime incidents have been reported. In 1998, Dr. Karen Anderson, a biologist specializing in tropical ecosystems, led an expedition into the Congo specifically to investigate these sounds. Dr. Anderson's team also noted that the sounds seemed to propagate through both air and ground, which could explain the difficulty in determining their source. Several U.S. officials were taken by surprise when they ventured into a secluded forest and stumbled upon a submarine partially buried in the swamp. Their astonishment grew as they managed to open the vessel and discovered that it likely belonged to a criminal group or drug cartel, used to transport illegal goods. What remains unexplained is how it became stranded and waterlogged, since no rational owner would abandon such a valuable craft, especially in an isolated wilderness. The Gugo Triangle is an important region located within Nualindoy National Park in the Republic of Congo. It is famous for its thick rainforests and diverse wildlife, especially its population of chimpanzees. Since the 1990s, researchers from the Max Planck Institute for Evolutionary Anthropology have carried out detailed studies in this area. Their work examines the behavior, tool use, and social life of chimpanzees, offering valuable understanding of their intelligence and culture. Scientists like Dr. Cricket Sands and Dr. David Morgan have observed chimpanzees using sticks to catch termites and stones to crack open nuts, proving their remarkable mental skills. The Gugo Triangle's isolation and protected status have kept its environment untouched, allowing researchers to observe these animals in their natural surroundings without human disturbance. All our lives we've been told that trees are real and harmless. But have we ever truly questioned that? Imagine if the same trees that provide us with oxygen could transform into dark creatures when night falls. What if they were waiting for the perfect moment to attack, and we had no idea? A hiker once entered a restricted part of a forest, hoping to film something extraordinary, but instead came face to face with a tree-shaped being standing perfectly still among the trunks. You can almost feel the sinister energy coming from it. While its intentions remain unknown, one thing is certain: they are not in our favor. The hiker didn't wait to find out more and took the creature's presence as a clear warning to leave immediately. In 2003, deep inside the jungles of the Congo, an astonishing discovery was made near the village of Sui, a strange footprint. Unlike anything seen before, the print measured more than 3 feet long and was pressed deep into the ground, hinting at a creature of massive weight. Scientists and cryptozoologists soon arrived to examine the finding. They created plaster molds of the footprint and studied its structure carefully. Early analysis showed it had 5 distinct toes, shaped more like those of a huge reptile or dinosaur than any primate or known animal. Even after years of study and debate, the true source of this mysterious footprint is still unknown. As a hiker reached the end of a forest trail, he noticed several stones scattered across the ground, with one landing right at his feet. Puzzled, he turned a nearby corner and caught sight of a strange creature. Before he could understand what he was seeing, the being started throwing stones toward him, narrowly missing each time. Realizing he was in real danger, the man turned and ran for his life. But let's pause for a moment. What exactly was that creature? Could it be a human-like figure created through some failed experiment and left to survive on its own? Or perhaps it was something not from this world, an alien presence watching and hunting from the shadows. Deep within the thick jungles of the Congo Basin lies a creature shrouded in legend, known as the Mel-Mimi. Described as having a long neck and a strong, bulky body, the Mel-Mimi is said to inhabit the Congo region. Over the past few decades, there have been numerous reported sightings, though none have been confirmed. Recently, however, excitement has grown after a video surfaced that appears to show the mysterious Mel-Mimi in motion. In the footage, the creature rises from the muddy waters of an isolated river, its enormous shape creating waves across the surface. It isn't the only evidence either, as there have also been claims of sightings from the air. While skeptics argue that it's nothing more than myth, some believe the Mel-Mimi might truly be out there. In the early 2000s, stories began to spread about a strange creature roaming the wilds of Florida. Witnesses described it as having a large, muscular body covered in thick hair, looking somewhat like a gorilla, but with human-like features that made it even more unsettling. Known as the Skunk Ape, this creature was said to appear in Florida's tropical forests, occasionally raiding supplies from local fishermen. Most people dismissed it as a made-up tale, until one man released a video claiming to show real evidence of the Skunk Ape. It's hard to say what the footage shows, since the camera shakes constantly and the image is blurry. Still, the figure appears to stand over 7 feet tall, far too large to be human. Then, just as suddenly as it appeared, the creature disappeared, leaving behind a mystery that continues to puzzle many. Show this to anyone who insists Bigfoot is not real. Though the creature usually stays hidden, a lost hiker accidentally wandered into its range deep in a United States rainforest. He glimpsed a heavy, broad figure stride across the trail. It seemed the Bigfoot was searching for its next target, perhaps hoping to turn the traveler into a meal. Yet, for reasons unknown, it did not notice him at all. Even with thick trees hiding much of its body, the figure becomes clear if you focus the frame. Stranger still, the Bigfoot was later seen trailing the same hiker before blending perfectly into the trees. Which of these 20 discoveries do you find most compelling? Have you ever experienced something in nature that you couldn't explain? Share your thoughts, your theories, and your own mysterious encounters in the comments below. I read every single comment and love hearing your perspectives. If you found this journey into the unknown as fascinating as I did, make sure you're subscribed to this channel so you don't miss future explorations of Earth's greatest mysteries. Thank you for joining me on this expedition into the unknown. Remember, the world is far stranger and more wonderful than we often give it credit for. Until next time, stay curious, stay safe, and keep exploring the mysteries that make our world so endlessly fascinating.
Thanks for being with us. Leave a comment, like to show your support, and remember to hit that subscribe button for more exciting videos. See you next time.